I need you to start answering the questions you're asking. Why did I have to go through this? Why did this person treat me this way? Why am I experiencing X, Y, and Z? Why am I always experiencing this, that, and the third? I need you to start answering those questions. You're leaving these questions open, asking the divine, asking the universe, asking other people, asking other situations to answer it for you. But you have the authority, you have the ability, the power to answer those questions for yourself. And when you do, something starts to happen. You start to close out this need to understand more why you went through what you went through. And instead, you start to take in the lesson that what you went through is giving you and helping you through. You need to start answering your questions, not just why. Because when you know why, okay, you may get an answer. You get a tarot reading, you get somebody that tells you, you're going to fight it. You're going to defend it. Or you're going to accept it. You're going to say, yeah, that's so true. Oh my goodness, I know. And you're going to go right back to the same question. But why me? Why do I always have to go through this? The truth is that the answer is not what you're actually looking for. You don't actually need an answer as to why you went through it. Because even with the answer, you still just want to know, you have more questions. You're always going to have more questions because naturally we are framed to always ask questions. That is who we are. That's how we move. However, and also, when you put yourself in the position of answering your own questions, you stop asking your subconscious mind to look for answers. So your subconscious mind is going to look for answers by having you continue the same patterns so that you can at some point consciously see what you're doing to call in what you're calling in. Because the truth is anything you've been through, anything you've experienced is a reflection of you one way or another. Whether it has to do with your past life, your karma, right? Whether it has to do with how you treat yourself, the parts of you that you don't know, everyone we deal with, everything that we deal with. The reason why it's a reflection of us and we don't really fully understand how or why is because it's always showing us our blind spots. It's showing us the stuff that we don't fully understand or see about ourselves. And there's something about you consistently asking the same disempowering question. Why did I go through what I went through? Why did I go through what I went through? Why did I go through what I went through? Answer it. Answer it authentically. Answer it honestly. Why did you go through what you went through? What part of what you went through did you play? And was it something that you could possibly learn from and change, do differently? Because a lot of times we're always looking at what we went through and we're blaming the circumstance. We're blaming the situation, and rightfully so. It's understandable. When you experience something hard, it's hard. Just is what it is. It's difficult to experience certain things. So now you're looking at the circumstance and you're looking at this, like, why did this thing happen? And you have the right to ask that question, but at some point you got to close out that question and move on so that you can actually gain wisdom. So why did this happen to me? Well, answer that. What part of that can you answer for yourself? Not just blame yourself, not just put yourself in this, because I'm stupid, because of this, because of that, because that don't help anybody. Disempowering yourself further is not going to help you. But actually answering it for a second and getting to know your own patterns, getting to know who you are, getting to understand what you're attracting. Sometimes the answer to why we go through what we go through is because it's familiar. You tend to go to things that are familiar. Sometimes the answer is as simple as because I like it. I don't want to admit that I like it, but there's a part of it that I like. There's a part of it that just feels semi-comfortable to me. And so I just keep doing the same thing. There's a part of me that actually really enjoys complaining. And so therefore, that's what I do. Yeah, as you hear me say it, you're probably like, what? No, not me. But yes, you. Yes, all of us. We've all experienced that at some point. We all like a little drama. We all come from a little bit of toxicity. And so therefore, we accept toxicity. Sometimes when we're living in a life that just feels too good, we're like, what the hell? This is boring. Right? And it's that type of authenticity, that type of real that you have to have in order for you to really be able to answer these questions and move on from the situation. Because you're not looking for an answer. You're trying to understand the lesson so that you can change your patterns, change what you're doing. It's all about change. And sometimes it's as simple as that. you don't have a good relationship with change. And so therefore, you know that if you start changing your patterns and changing the way that you operate, if you start doing things differently, it will give you different results. So for example, I used to date and deal with people that really had no genuine respect for me or didn't really see me as important in any way, shape, or form. Right. And I was a very, very easy target too. I just wanted love so bad that I was just willing to take it from wherever it would come from. I had like a level of standards around certain people and things. But for the most part, if I was like attracted enough to you, I was with the shits. I was like, all right, cool, let's do this. Right. And so being in that position, I would get with somebody, we would have a little bit of fun, they would ghost me, they would leave me, they would walk away from me. And this is romantic, this is platonic, but let's talk about romantic real quick. I would look at the romantic situations and I would just be like, oh my gosh, I'm just so like, I think this is going somewhere. I think this is nice. This is actually happening. And some way, somehow, they would leave me. And usually they would leave me for somebody else. There's always someone else in the picture. They're interested in another person. And I used to ask the same question, like, why does this always happen to me? Why am I always dealing with the same person? Why am I always dealing with something that I think is going to go somewhere and literally doesn't? Right? I was starting to kind of get into this place where I was just like, this is a consistent pattern. And I was in blame mode, right? Blaming them, blaming circumstances, but blaming myself the most. I was the type of person that I blame myself the most. And so I'm just sitting here, I was like, okay, maybe I'm just too ugly. Maybe I'm just, not good enough. Or, if my father left me, of course these men are going to leave me. So duh, right? It's just like, there's so many things that I came up with, but I wasn't actually answering the question from a genuine place of wanting to change it. I was answering the question from just complaint and blame. I just wanted to keep complaining. And so I had to do this thing where I had to look at the question I was asking and I had to answer it from the perspective of, what am I doing? What am I allowing? How am I contributing to this continuing? And the one thing I realized is that with every guy, I did the same thing. And like it became a habit that I couldn't really stop. So with every guy, I would kind of put all of my energy to them. So although I'm focused and I got my own thing going on, the moment I'm in something romantic, right, or I'm talking to a guy, I'm like crazy about the guy. I want to hold on to the guy so bad that I want to become whoever I can become for them. But I'm super nonchalant. I'm playing it cool. But in reality, I want them to like me and stick around. So I'm doing things outside of who I truly am to make them like me more. And it was a consistent thing. And whatever that was, I was willing to do it. Right? There was also a point in time in my life where I was just having sex. I was just doing the thing. And so in doing that, I was having sex on the first date. I was just kind of, doing whatever. And it was one of those things where it's just like, I would tell myself consciously, like, yo, Bree, this doesn't feel good, right? This doesn't feel right. Like we should stop. But I would realize that when I'm with somebody, it was hard for me to say no, even though I didn't want to do it. And I spent a good chunk of my life having sex with people that I really just I didn't feel good about. Like I was actually unhappy in the midst of it happening. And I was just like, because for me, there was this thought process that sex was the only kind of love that I'll ever actually get. That's the only time that people want me. And so I was allowing myself to just kind of give myself up because I thought that was all I could get. And so I stopped answering the question from the perspective of, the circumstances are against me and people can't love me. And I started answering it from the perspective of, how am I actually adding to the situation? How am I keeping this thing going? And I realized I built habits, beliefs, and things that made me continue the same patterns, continue to do the same things that I didn't want to do, even though I knew I didn't want to do them. And I ended up in situations that I cared less for, that I didn't want to be in. So being treated a certain way, I realized I'm treating me this way. I ain't got no respect for myself. I'm taking myself for granted. I don't actually know how to say no. I don't actually know how to stand up the way that I need to stand up. I'm not standing in my power. I'm actually giving my power away. So it makes sense that in giving my power away, some people are actually taking that power and saying, cool, let me do whatever I want with it. I started attracting certain people because I was acting a certain way. And when I could take full accountability, I cried. I felt some type of way. I wanted to get defensive, but the truth is, I was ready for the truth. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to keep doing the same things that I've been doing. It has to stop with me. I can't just blame everything around me. It has to stop with me. And after I stop it, if I keep experiencing the same thing, if after I go through the part of me that needs to heal, the part of me that keeps experiencing the same thing or doing the same thing, I should say, and I keep experiencing that, okay, now I got to look at, okay, is it the environment? I can add other things to it. But since I've decided to truly transition my life, completely change the way that I operate when it comes to romantic love, platonic situations, when it comes to how I treat myself, things have changed. Has it changed in the direction that I love it? Yes. And also there's struggles with that. Because in the past, I got a lot of attention, a shit ton of attention, because my whole energy was like, by the way, I'm easy. I'm looking for love. Please come love me however you want to. I was a very, very easy target. Although it wasn't the easiest to talk to me all the time, once you got in, you were in. And people knew that. People knew that I was a revolving door. They could leave me, they could come back. They could leave me, they can come back. As long as they come back saying the right thing, because words of affirmations, they could leave. And the right things is subjective. I was so hurt, I was going through it, that I just kept allowing the same thing. Even though I didn't like it, even though I knew I needed to change something, I just decided, let me just complain about the thing and not actually do the work to change. Too often, that's what you're doing. You are thinking about the situation. You're asking, why did I have to go through that? But you're not ready to sit in the hot seat and take full accountability for what happened. Not blame yourself, not put yourself down, but take full accountability for why these things keep happening. Your relationship with you is not strong enough for you to sit you down and have a deep, genuine conversation with yourself saying, hey, you keep asking why you're going through what you're going through. And I want us to talk about why. I want us to talk about how we're contributing to the things that we don't want, to the things that we're not interested in. So you want to lose weight, but you keep not losing weight, yet your diet is exactly the same. You haven't changed anything about it. Your mindset around food, your mindset around your body is exactly the same. You haven't changed anything about it. You can blame every gym. You can blame every program. You can blame everything that's out there right now that's there to help you lose weight. But it comes back down to you. Are you telling yourself it's impossible to lose weight and then actively trying to lose weight and realizing that it's not happening? It starts with your mindset. You think it's impossible, and so therefore, it's going to be impossible. You're going to do workouts that don't actually work for your body. You're going to eat foods, even if you're on a diet. You're going to eat foods that don't actually do much for your body. That's it, because you have deemed it impossible. It starts with you. Everything you're experiencing. So when you need to answer the question, it's really an answer you need to give yourself. You need to answer the question. And you need to say, let me come from a place of accountability. Let me come from a place of wisdom. Let me come from a place of genuine love for myself. Let me not look at my circumstances and other people and other things and say that they're the issue, but instead take full accountability. Let me instead see things for exactly what they are. And that is when you start winning. Your life will change. So definitely work on your relationship with change, which we'll talk about. But even though your life changes, it changes for the better. You start to actually realize what you want. But you first have to get rid of the parts of you, right? The things within you that are accepting what you don't want. And that means that you got to make some massive changes, some changes that may even feel uncomfortable. It's like working out for the first time in years. It don't feel so comfortable. You're out of breath quick. You feel that you're out of shape. You don't feel like you can go that far. It hurts, honestly. But it's the practice. It's the keep going. It's the push. It's the determination. Be determined to answer the question from an accountability space. Be determined to have a beautiful relationship with yourself and stop letting your circumstances and the situations you've been through dictate who you are and where you're going in your life.